Keith, 40 years on almost from that penalty against Arsenal. Does it feel that long?
Yeah, I think it does actually, yeah. I mean, sometimes when I'm speaking to people, because it doesn't matter how long you've been retired from football, how long you've been out of football, people still refer to you as the footballer. They say, oh, you're Keith the footballer. And you say, well, actually, I haven't played for 30 years. But so, yeah, in some senses, when I cast my mind back, it doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago when I was 26 years old, and all of a sudden now I'm 64. But of course it was. I'm just looking at the images there where we were. I always remember that there was straw on the pitch, and we used to put straw on, and then the snow would fall on the straw. And the idea being, looking back now, it's archaic, isn't it? But the idea being that it kept the pitch insulated and then you could play on it. So the crowd, I remember the crowd were in about 6 o'clock in the morning, and some of the players, obviously the ones that weren't playing, and the ground staff getting it off. And it got passed to play, which they used to in them days. I mean, it would never get passed nowadays, something like that. But it got passed to play. The referee had a little look on one side that he quite liked and said, oh, we can play it. But you had, because of the way the stand were at the old Bootham Crescent, it was half frozen on one side and half soft on the other. Yeah. So it was a real leveller, which was good for us. It was a proper leveller because they were like the grand, the grand side of the time.
Team. Yeah, you just mentioned there like that pitch would never get played on nowadays, would it? Can you imagine that now?
No. Well, they're never getting that. They're never getting that condition anymore. The pitches of the way they've developed pitches and they make pitches now. I know when I sit and watch the lads here at York, it's just a beautiful flat surface all the time. Whereas back in the day, you bought 2 or 3 pair of boots and you knew what was going to happen with the pitch throughout the season. It would start off with lots of grass on. You get over the Christmas period where we used to play loads of games and stuff, and the bad weather used to come, like the snow and the rain and stuff, and you'd lose all the grass down the middle of the pitch, so you were literally running on mud for the middle part of the season. And then you'd get into the spring when you had a lot of games on the run-in, midweek Saturdays, and the pitch would have levelled it all, and it would be all hard, rock hard, but it would be mud you were playing on. So yeah, there were difficult times. I mean, it's not surprising that we're all carrying artificial hips and artificial knees all these years later, really.
Well, let's wind back a few weeks runs before the game. We played Walsall, I think it was in the previous round, and got through there. When was it that you found out that you were playing Arsenal? How do you listen to the draw?
I think in the old days what I used to do was we'd all you'd do your training and then you'd get sat in the dressing room and you had a little radio, believe it or not, because technology has moved on so much in the last 20 years. It's incredible. I mean, even when I was managing, I retired in '96. We didn't have mobiles and things. It's all relatively new. So yeah, we'd get sat round, and I'd never seen. I'd grown up. Everybody loved the FA Cup. It was the most major competition in the world. I know it's still a big competition, but then the FA Cup was everything, Ryan. Honestly, it really was. And I remember as a kid, you'd get up at 10 o'clock in the morning and watch the FA Cup right the way through. And I'd never really seen the magic side of it. We'd had a couple of half-decent results against different teams. And I remember when I was at Hartlepool when I was 17, we drew Leeds, but it was all a bit of a blur, that one. So obviously once we drew out Arsenal, and they were like the millionaire, it was like Millionaires Row coming to Tanner's Lane, They were the club. They were all the big players that spent a fortune on players. But we had Dennis Smith and Viv Busby who were just at the start of their careers, and they were really we had a real good side that was capable of better. I mean, a lot of them lads did go on and play better. But yeah, I remember that coming out, the Arsenal and the big shout going up, and but that's all we thought about it really. And then obviously there was a massive build-up. The town, York City. That's all people were talking about, and there were stickers up and people talking about this big match with Arsenal.
The classic FA Cup concoction as the full flavour of the competition comes to York. A tight little ground with a capacity of 12,000. The locals wondering whether York City, whose side cost less than £20,000, can topple Arsenal, whose team cost over £4.5 million. It's a day for dreams.
Like I say, we absolutely did our best to get it on. Looking at that picture there, I don't know how we did, but we got it on. And they didn't fancy it, I don't think, on the day, Arsenal. Not as much as they should have done.
You mentioned there the difference in between the two sides. I think they had 8 or 9 sort of internationals that day. You were one of the only few players that you actually paid the fee for back then.
Without a doubt, completely. That's always been the magic of the FA Cup, though. That's always been. You've seen over the years where players maybe play. We were in the old 3rd division then. I think we'd got promotion, so it was the old 3rd division, which would be the 2nd division now. But you've always seen, haven't you, players that do well in the FA Cup and then you might see them playing top level a few years later. It does happen. And the thing is, you want to pit yourself against better players. And we were no different. We thought we were a really good side. We thought at least 6 or 7 of us thought we should be playing top level anyway, because you do if you've got anything about you. And we were very determined. Like I say, Viv Busby and Dennis Smith, they were fantastic coaches and managers, and they just set us up. So we were always really difficult to beat, but we were always a threat as well. And I think we could have won that game. Did it finish? Was it 0-0 going into the last 2 minutes? But we could have won it. You know, we had a little lad called Martin Butler who was playing up front for us that day alongside me. No, I was playing midfield, wasn't I? Because I never used to play up front. I played in midfield. And he was really busy, and he had a couple of real good chances that he might have stuck away. But I think we were the better side on the day. It was one of them that just ticked down, and it was a bit disappointing. It looked like it was going to be a draw. And then it was literally the last couple of minutes when we got the penalty. So, yeah, I had to stand up and take it.
Just building up to the game, the morning you wake up on that day, like, how are you feeling? Because it's
you're buzzing. Yeah. I mean, because football, people think football's glamorous and that all the time, but it's a job like any other job. So there's always Saturdays or midweek matches where you just don't quite fancy it as much. It's just human nature. Obviously you do your best and you're a professional and you're trained up, but you know it can get a bit mundane, just the run of the mill games. But then something like this sweeps in, and like I say, the whole town's buzzing. We've got national press and that speaking to us like me and you are today. Sometimes, for some of us, like the first time ever, the national press is interested in what we've got to say and what we're doing and in our careers. It was a massive thing. It was a huge thing for me. And you know, it's one of them where it's just you can still remember the Ronnie Radford goal and goals from, you know, the famous FA Cup goals, because that's what the type of competition that it was. So you wanted to be the team that was doing the upset, and obviously that would have been the biggest upset of the day, and we managed to do it. Yeah.
Coming into the game, any sort of pre-match rituals that you do? Any pre-match preparations from you?
Not really. No, I can't say I was particularly superstitious. No. We had a routine, a little bit of a warm-up routine in the dressing room. You warm up on the pitch before the match. Check your studs. Obviously, like you say, we always had a couple of pair of different types of studs because you never knew with pitches back in the day. But no, I mean, really, you've done the work through the week, and the week before that, you're set for it. It's just, I think big matches like that, the trick has always been, even now, looking at these FA Cup games weekend just gone, you're playing like a top side or one of the top sides, you don't want to concede. You want to be in the game, competing, get into the second half and then see where you are, you know. And like I say, we did have some really very good footballers who went on to play high-level football themselves anyway, so it doesn't surprise me, no.
You've talked about a lot of the game so far, but you've obviously got that, you'll see it on here in a minute, the penalty that right in the very last minute from you. I think you won the foul, did you, as well?
And we're in the last minute. It's Butler. Houchen and Pearce waiting in the side. Houchen went down. And the challenge, yes! Penalty!
I did, yeah. Well, you can see there where people walked about where it's quite hard and soft. But I'd never seen Bootham that full. Bootham was absolutely bursting at the seams, and there was people climbing up the stanchions on the floodlights up the side, and people on the roofs. And
what's going through your mind now when you're taking it?
Don't miss.
And you didn't?
I loved penalties, and I always said, I used to say it then and I say it now, I just saw a penalty as a free goal. I loved scoring goals.
The Arsenal point of view. And he's done it! The third division side score in the 90th minute. Houchen from the spot.
And I finished up playing centre midfield at York City because Keith Houchen and John Byrne and people were scoring so many goals. And I finished up top scorer because I was just bursting in the box, you know, just wanting to get goals, just getting in there. But you're right, I did have to carry him about 10 yards to get it. He started following me about 10 yards outside the box. And I felt the foul, and I thought he obviously wasn't strong enough to pull me over or pull me down. And eventually it was ridiculous, really, thinking back now. I think if you look at it closely, he should have let it go, but he didn't. He kept going. And
there you go, it is again.
Yeah, and then once you go down, I mean, it was the same if I scored. If I ever scored a goal, I used to look straight at the linesman.
Yeah.
It's not like VAR now. I'd look straight at the linesman. If his flag was down, that's a goal. And as I went down, I looked straight away to see where the referee was, and all I could see was the ref going like that. It was like, yay.
There you go.
But then I got up and thought, I've got to take it.
Yeah, but no, when that ball goes into the back of the net, you must be ecstatic.
It's just looking at it now. I mean, remembering all them boys, I mean, fantastic team it was. But yeah, and I was a good penalty taker. I was a very good penalty taker. Don't watch the eyes, that one was. I leaned towards that side and sent him and just put it in the other corner. But yeah, I mean, we were just ecstatic. And we drew Liverpool after that. I mean, couldn't have got any better.
No, but knocking out the Arsenal, when did it actually sink in that you'd done it?
I think there was such a massive commotion straight afterwards about it, and the amount of press that were wanting to speak. Even getting off the pitch, if you watch, we'd never had that sort of thing. Just the crowd was so excited. It took us 5-10 minutes to get off the pitch because the crowd were on there in a good way, in a wonderful way, you know. And I remember doing all the interviews. Now I remember actually sitting having a pint with John Motson of all people. He had his big fur coat on, and he sat with me and my in-laws and my wife. We were just talking about football generally. No, there was just so much publicity for weeks and weeks after that. I mean, even after I'd left York and went and signed for Coventry City in the top flight, I was known as the man who took the penalty that knocked Arsenal out of the cup. I was actually able to take that on another step, thank God. Otherwise, it would still. Yeah.
Of course.
But no, it's fantastic, and seeing it, just watching it, it's just amazing, isn't it? All the crap for the whole town came alive. I've got to say, because we had a couple of cup runs, couple of seasons running. Liverpool was our nemesis both seasons, but just looking at the crowd, it was fantastic. It was a great time to be playing football. The 80s. It was still like really solid, where you had to be big and strong and stick up for yourself, but everybody was trying to play as well, so it was a really, really good time.
And also in that game, I think there was quite a little bit of an iconic moment in a way, where there was the tea trolley as well, just near the corner. Do you remember that one?
Well, that just sums up the way he's had to wait for the tea trolley to get out the way. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Alan A, great player.
Just shows how far football's come nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't see it now, would you? You don't see it. Yeah, well, I went to watch Leeds and Harrogate the other night, and you can stand under the stand and have a nice pint of lager and get in it's just a different world. Football's a different world, completely different. But it's great seeing it like this, isn't it? I think it belonged to the people more in the 70s and 80s than it does now. You know what I mean? I think everybody was really a part. Whatever you were doing, everybody was part of it, and everybody felt part of it as well.
Yeah, and post-match scenes as well. The moment where you've won there, I mean, everything. There must be so many thoughts running through your head there, and after the game, what was the scenes like in the dressing room?
Where we had champagne out and everything you can imagine. I've got photographs at home where we're all pouring champagne.
It's a fourth round tie as well, like, you're saying a fourth round tie?
Yes, I know, but it was just like you say, everybody wanted to be a giant killer and, write the name in the FA Cup. It was the biggest competition. It was just a huge thing. That we'd all grown up with the Arsenal players, and the York would be exactly the same. It was the competition you wanted to do well in, I'm just seeing us there trying to struggle off the pitch, look.
And it's 1955 all over again at Bootham Crescent. Then they put out Spurs and went on to the semi-final. Now they put out Arsenal.
But yeah, we were, and that's the thing with something like that, because obviously Dennis and Viv were really determined that they wanted to be in the better leagues. They wanted to get York up into at least up into the old second division. We'd come from the fourth, so they didn't want us distracted from the league and stuff. But it was really, really difficult not to be distracted from the league, because all of a sudden we had the press and everything after us for weeks, coming wanting to speak to us. And it's, probably at that age, I think I was about 23, 24, to keep getting your feet back on the ground and doing what you're supposed to be doing. But it was a wonderful time. It was a magic time to be in York, in the city as well. It was just a magic time.
And some of your Bootham Crescent memories, all of them years that you played around?
Bootham Crescent, it was just a wonderful ground. Just a great. I used to love going to Bootham. When I was a kid, when I first started at Hartlepool, it was like a local derby for us. I think it still is, really, isn't it? I used to love going to Bootham Crescent. There was something about it, just had a really lovely atmosphere. And it was always a nice crowd. It was always a nice crowd, York City. When you play football for any length of time, you get to know the grounds where the crowd can be they can be quite nasty at football, especially back in the day. I mean, the Hartlepool crowd, if they went after you, they went after you, you know. But York was always nice to play at. You could play there and not get all the horrible stick in that. It was just a nice atmosphere to play at. And that's what I remember most about actually playing there. When I came to York, I'd gone up to Leyton Orient and then I came back to York. And it was just pleasant. The crowd were right behind us all the time. It was just a nice place to play. And obviously, fantastic city to live in, isn't it? So, no, it was really happy memories.
And as you mentioned as well, football's just changed so much, hasn't it? What do you think's changed the most?
Well, facilities. I mean, we're sat here in this beautiful dressing room at the New York City Stadium. So facilities and everything like that, training facilities are second to none now. We have all the, you know, we literally used to look for places to train. We trained over at the old asylum on Clifton for a lot of time if we could get on there, but it was just a bit of grass. It was grass, it wasn't proper training facilities. So yeah, I mean, all of that. I just think the stadiums are better, training facilities are better. I think players are looked after better. I think they know physically everything. We used to, back in the day in the 80s, it didn't matter whether you were playing top level or fourth division. You always had a couple of days through the week where all they did was run you, just to get you fit, just run and run and run and run. Whereas I think football now is far more getting players being comfortable with the ball and with each other and tactical and, you know, that sort of thing. I think the fitness looks after itself if you're playing. But certainly the facilities have made a massive difference.
And currently York City sitting top of the National League at the moment.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
You've been to at least one game this season. I know that's Southend one.
Yeah.
Any advice that you would offer to this York City?
Oh God, I could never. No, Matt. It like you say, football's so different now from when I played. Just keep doing what they're doing. They looked really solid when I watched them. Actually, they all knew exactly what they were doing. You're very solid defensively, and you obviously have I could see that they're capable of scoring goals. I mean, they only got one on the day, I think. No, they actually, it looked like it was going to be a 0-0. It was Southend game. Was it 2-0 or 3-0?
3-0.
Finished up 3-0, didn't it? Yeah. Well, yeah. I say football's moved on, but then I thought, well, I wonder if I was their manager and I sat in the dressing room and said, well, every goal was identical and you never did anything about it. Something's not right there, is it? But no, just enjoy it. The thing is with football, what I would say to any young footballer or footballers that are playing now is, you feel like, I mean, I played for 20 years. I played just short of 700 games. And you feel when you're in it like it's lasting forever, but you know, you'll be 26 and you'll blink and it'll be all 20, 30 years behind you. So just always make sure you never leave anything out there. And you know, don't come in and think, oh, I could have tried a bit harder, or I could have done that, or my mind wasn't right. Just enjoy it for what it is. You're very lucky to be playing football for a living at any level, so just enjoy.
There's been people who have mentioned some similarities between the promotions and winning squad back there that you were involved in.
Yeah, I've heard that said. Yeah, well, we were getting big crowds at Bootham at the time. I think people have made the fact that the crowds are similar, and I mean, what are they chasing points-wise at the moment? How many points have they got? Do we know?
Not quite sure yet, but I think to win the league you need to get up to 90.
You need to be right up around 90, don't they? I mean, that was one of the amazing things when I came in through that season when they were winning the league, and we broke it was when it had just flicked over to 3 points for a win from 2 points for a win, and they broke the 100-point barrier, which was amazing.
First team to do it, I think, in English football.
Yeah, we were the first team to do it, which is a proud thing, isn't it? York City. People, I mean, that's a pub question. Probably a lot of people don't know that, do they?
No.
But no, just keep doing what you're doing. I think the manager's doing a fantastic job, obviously. So they've just got to keep doing what they're doing, because it's never over till the end, is it? Is it 1 up?
2 up this season, one automatic and then 1 through the playoffs.
Yeah, so really, if you're top, you've just got... I mean, we just kept winning. I think we got it in our heads that we were a better team. And if we went a goal down or 2 goals down, we just thought, right, we'd look at each other and say, right, we have to score 3. Because if you're the best, aren't you? But you've got to... You never get anything out of football without putting it in. So you can't go... You can't, like, ease back through the gears when you're playing. You've got to get through the gears every match. Give it everything you've got. But I was really impressed with them, and I think the crowd was really good as well. Like you say, getting 7,000. 7,000 crowds.
Big crowds than when they're at Bootham as well.
So there's comparisons, isn't there? There is comparisons between the two sides. But York City were always a Football League side. That's what we all... as a York supporter, from the outside, I must say I watch from the outside. I'm not here that often. But I just want them to be back in the Football League properly where they belong.
Do, don't we?
Yeah, of course, because they're a famous Football League club, so that's where they should be.
And personally, what does it mean to you to sort of be celebrated by all the York City fans still 40 years on for that moment?
Yeah, well, yeah, it surprises you sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, I think you have to be of a certain age. I know the couple of times I've been, the 2 or 3 times I've been and I've walked around with some very young supporters now who probably don't really know who I am. They know I've done something in the past. But there's still, I'll still see some of the VIPs and directors that were around when I was around if I go up there, and people watch. I know that people watch who used to watch when I'm playing, which tells you a lot about football clubs, doesn't it? And it tells you a lot about York City, really. But no, it was great. I mean, I said to Yorkie the Lion, because I took a penalty when I was here, didn't I?
Yeah.
We recreated the penalty. And I said to him, whatever you do, you dive left, because I'm putting the ball left. And we kind of synchronised it and it went in. But
you still got it though.
Well, do you know what? I was determined not to have a run and slip over and look daft, so I just stood there. It's much easier when you're standing at my age. But no, it's great, and it's great that they're doing well. And there's a buzz about the place, isn't there? Which is really good.